All right, everybody, welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're tackling something I think we can all relate to. Distractions.
Yeah, distractions, they're everywhere.
Oh, absolutely. And they come in all shapes and sizes.
Exactly. From that tempting notification that pops up on your phone right when you're in the middle of something.
Oh, yeah. Or that pile of laundry that's been staring at you for days.
Ugh, the laundry monster. Yep, I know it well.
But we're not just talking about those external distractions, right?
Right. We're going deeper.
We're going into the mind.
Because sometimes, let's be honest, the biggest distractions are the ones inside our own heads.
Oh, 100%. It's those thoughts, those worries, that to-do list that just keeps swirling around. And we've got a bunch of sources here. Articles, studies, even some expert opinions that are all about giving us the tools and techniques to finally break free from all those distractions and really zero in on those goals we've been meaning to achieve.
So are we talking like Jedi mind tricks here? Well, maybe not quite Jedi level, but definitely some powerful strategies that can make a huge difference.
All right, I'm intrigued. Let's get into it. So first things first, how bad is this distraction problem, really? Like, does it actually matter if we check our phones a few times while we're working?
Well, one of the sources we have here cites a study that found that it can take us almost 25 minutes to fully regain our focus after an interruption.
Wait, 25 minutes?
Yeah. So think about how many times a day we get interrupted by emails, texts, notifications, or even just our own wandering thoughts.
Okay, that's kind of terrifying. So basically, we're losing huge chunks of our day just trying to get back on track.
Exactly. And that's not even taking into account the stress and frustration that come with feeling constantly scattered.
So not only are we less productive, but we're also just more stressed out in general.
Right. It's a vicious cycle.
All right, so we've established that distractions are a problem, a big problem. Now let's talk solutions.
Let's do it.
So one of the first things that jumped out at me from the sources was this idea of creating a distraction-free zone.
Oh, yeah. Your environment is crucial.
And it doesn't have to be anything fancy, right?
No, not at all. It could be as simple as clearing off your desk, finding a quiet corner in your house, or even just putting on some noise-canceling headphones.
I actually recently decluttered my workspace, and I swear, just having that clear space makes a huge difference.
I totally agree. Your physical space can have a big impact on your mental state. One source even suggested adding some plants to your workspace.
Oh, interesting. So like office jungle vibes.
Exactly. Studies have shown that being around nature can actually boost focus and reduce stress.
See, I knew there was a reason I loved my little succulent so much. Okay, so we've got our Zen den all set up. What's next?
Well, one thing that kept coming up in the sources was this idea of mastering time.
Oh yeah, time management. That's a biggie. And I think a lot of us struggle with that.
For sure. But there are some really effective techniques out there that can help. Well, have you ever heard of the Pomodoro technique?
The Pomodoro technique.
Yeah, it's this method where you work in focused bursts, usually 25 minutes long, followed by a short 5-minute break.
Okay, so it's like interval training for your brain.
Exactly. And the idea is that by breaking your work down into these manageable chunks, you're less likely to get overwhelmed or burned out.
That makes sense. And I've heard some people swear by it.
It can be really effective. And what's cool about it is that you can totally customize those intervals to fit your own work style and preferences.
Oh, I like that. So if I'm really feeling it, I could do a longer work session, or if I need more frequent breaks, I can adjust that too.
Exactly. Find what works best for you.
I'm definitely going to try that. What else did the sources mention? I feel like there was something about time blocking too, right?
Oh, yes. Time blocking is awesome. It's basically like taking the Pomodoro technique to the next level. Instead of just working in intervals, you actually schedule specific chunks of time in your day for certain tasks.
So it's like making appointments with yourself.
Exactly. And one source even recommended building in buffer time between tasks just to account for those unexpected interruptions or just to give yourself some breathing room.
That's a great tip. I always feel so rushed when I try to cram too much into my day.
Yeah.
So this buffer time thing could be a game changer. Okay, we've tackled our workspace, we're mastering our time. But what about those internal distractions? You know, the mental chatter that just never seems to shut up.
Yes. That's where mindfulness comes in.
Okay, so mindfulness. I'll be honest, I used to be a bit skeptical about all that meditation stuff. But I've been hearing more and more about it, and I'm starting to come around.
You know, a lot of people think mindfulness is about emptying your mind completely, but it's really not about that.
Oh, so what is it about then?
It's more about becoming aware of those thoughts and feelings without getting carried away by them.
So it's like acknowledging those distractions but not letting them control you.
Exactly. It's like watching clouds drift by. You see them, you acknowledge them, but you don't chase after them.
I like that analogy. So how do we actually practice mindfulness? Is it all about, like, sitting cross-legged and chanting?
It can be, but it doesn't have to be. One source suggested a really simple breathing exercise.
Right.
Just focus on your breath for a few minutes.
Okay, I can do that. It's just about being present in the moment. Right?
Exactly. And the more you practice, the better you get at it.
It's like training a muscle.
Yes, exactly. A mental muscle.
All right, so we've created a calm workspace, we've got our time management strategies down, and we're even training our minds to be more focused. But all this focus is for what? What are we focusing on?
That's a great point. It's all about setting the right goals.
Yes, goals. And I think one of the sources mentioned something about SMART goals.
Right. SMART goals are a really helpful framework.
But what does SMART even stand for?
So SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound.
Okay, so break that down for me.
Sure. So specific means that your goal is clear and well-defined. Instead of saying, I want to be healthier, a specific goal would be, I want to run a 5K in 6 months. Measurable means you can actually track your progress. So for the 5K goal, you could track your mileage each week. Achievable means that your goal is, well, achievable.
It's realistic.
Right. You don't want to set yourself up for failure by setting a goal that's just too far out of reach. Relevant means that your goal actually matters to you. It aligns with your values and your overall goals. And time-bound means that you have a deadline.
So there's a sense of urgency.
Yes. So instead of saying, I want to learn a new language, a SMART goal would be, I will study Spanish for 30 minutes every day before work for the next 3 months.
I love that example. It's so clear and actionable. And I think one thing that really resonated with me from the sources was this idea of breaking down large goals into smaller steps.
Oh, absolutely. That's key.
Because sometimes those big goals can feel so overwhelming, right?
Yes. They can feel impossible, but if you break them down into smaller, more manageable steps, it suddenly feels a lot more doable.
Right. It's like, how do you eat an elephant?
One bite at a time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And speaking of celebrating those small wins, I remember when I was training for a half marathon. I was tracking my progress, and every time I hit a new milestone, it was such a huge motivator.
Yes. Those small wins are so important, and the sources really emphasize celebrating them. It reinforces those positive feelings and keeps you motivated for the long haul.
Totally. It's like, give yourself a high five.
Yeah.
You know, you deserve it. So, to wrap things up, we've covered a lot of ground today.
We really have. We talked about the importance of creating a distraction-free zone, both physically and digitally.
We explored some awesome time management techniques like the Pomodoro technique and time blocking.
And we even delved into the world of mindfulness and how it can help us train our brains to be more focused and present.
And of course, we learned all about setting SMART goals and breaking down those big dreams into smaller, actionable steps.
It's been a great deep dive. And I think it leaves us with a really important question to ponder.
Ooh, I love a good question. Hit me.
Now that you have all these amazing tools and techniques, what's one distraction you're committed to overcoming this week?
Ooh, that's a good one. I think I'm going to tackle that notification monster once and for all. What about you?
You know, I think I'm going to try that Pomodoro technique. I've been meaning to give it a shot for ages.
Well, there you have it, folks. Time to take action. We'll see you next time for another deep dive.
See you then.